Hi and welcome to my review of the Kodak SP360 4K Dual Pro Pack Edition. Yes, that's its real name. So the Dual Pro Pack Edition is a bundle that Kodak put together, including two of their cameras rather than the standard one, enable you to create full spherical 360 video. I purchased this for a road trip that I was taking up the Pacific Coast Highway. So today I'm going to talk about my experiences setting it up, getting to know the product, actually the road test itself, literally, and the production experience that I had with the camera. I'll also be talking about some of the accessories that come with it, the good, the bad, and the kind of ugly. So the first thing I do think is important to mention is the impressive array of accessories that come with the Dual Pro Pack. There are a few more than we have here. I've made an unboxing video already, which I'll provide a link in the description. But here are a couple of my favorites. It looks like a selfie stick, but thankfully is not. It's a telescopic stick that is incredibly effective for filming spherical video. You're able to hold it directly above your head and pretty much disappear. There is the 80s looking watch, which actually controls both cameras at the same time, which is actually incredibly helpful when recording. And this is one thing worth mentioning, is these are definitely two distinct products. They have their own control panels each. Don't be fooled by this housing. They are two cameras with two removable batteries. They very much are two separate products being asked to act as one. Now, we'll come on to problems with that later, but it does mean that the resolution is among the highest. You also get a charging station, which is nice, but it's curious that they only included one because charging time is not quick and there are two separate batteries. It's worth mentioning that you can charge plugging a cable directly into the cameras, but they're not accessible when in this housing. So you do have the slightly fiddly task of unscrewing before you're able to charge. And then finally, another one that I like is the carry case. It's pretty well made. I mentioned in the unboxing video, I think if it was any other brand, you'd probably expect me to pay 20 bucks or something for that, but it's included. Now, it's also worth mentioning that this is $899, so you do have the right to expect some sort of decent amount of accessories, but still it's nice to have. Moving on to the actual experience using the cameras. At first, my initial method was to purely use the telescopic stick. After watching footage back, I quickly discovered there are good and bad ways to film spherical video. There's a few guides on this online, but a couple of the comments that I was getting and noticed myself was that holding it above my head and then just kind of moving it around myself is incredibly nauseating when watching back, which is not really the experience you want for your viewers. So I actually moved, when I had to use this, I would make a specific point to hold still as possible and with the camera lenses facing the same way as much as possible. But I actually graduated to moving this suction pad. It's an incredibly sturdy base, very well made, and stuck it to the back of my car while driving about 40 to 50 miles an hour, which was an incredibly nerve-wracking experience, but thankfully a good one. That was, for me, when the spherical video kind of really came alive, driving through gigantic forest of redwoods with this on the back. It really kind of gives you the experience of being there yourself. The fact that I'm not shaking it around like a lunatic as well really helped. So this was actually probably my preferred method of recording. I would like the opportunity to attach to a tripod that I already have. I've got a number of GoPro accessories at the back, but despite the fact that the accessories look like they'd fit to a GoPro, there is actually an additional nozzle that prevents it, which is really, really frustrating. I've seen some people online snapping parts off their accessories to make that work, but I'm not in the habit of defacing things, not this soon after buying them anyway. One of the other things that frustrated me was, while this watch is a fantastic way to record both videos at the same time, simply press the red button while on your hand, as you might expect, and it will set both videos recording. The one thing is there is a range, a very distinct range. So it was on the back of my car, as I mentioned, facing this way, you can see. So one camera forward, one distinctly backwards. And it turned out that sitting in the front seat, the range wasn't far enough to reach the back camera. So it started the front camera recording, but not the back. So I kind of just took it upon myself to basically stand next to the damn thing before I pressed the record button. The only other thing is that the experience I had with the housing, there was one or two videos that left a lot to be desired. Now, I don't know whether this is because I didn't screw these, the screws in tight enough, and therefore there was a little bit of room for maneuver, which created a kind of shaking effect on the scene when I edited them together. But I did notice there was a couple of my videos that were affected by that. Kodak recommends that you turn off the shake reduction feature, which I had done, but it just was noticeable. So as I mentioned, I recorded on a road test up the Pacific Coast Highway. So most of the recording was done during the day. I'm going to provide links to all the videos. There's a compilation video as well, so you'll be able to check out the quality. The times that I found it struggled were driving through the forest, where there was kind of a lot of patchy bright light. And it struggled with contrast a little bit then, but generally I was pretty happy overall. So one of the main things that I knew was going to be a challenge with the Dual Pro pack would be the stitching software. I'd done research online, a lot of people complained about it. I know a lot of people who with serious ambitions for spherical video download the $300, I think it costs, Autopano 2 software. But certainly for someone like myself who's not really looking to, I'm just dipping my toe at the moment, let's put it that way. The Auto Stitch software is really kind of my only option. So one thing worth mentioning is that while there is app support for the PixPro camera individually, there is no app support for the two together. So you're not going to get like a nice Gear 360. Samsung promised that you'll be able to control them both, or both cameras, both lenses, on the app itself. That doesn't exist. So you have to wait till you get home and use this software. Now the problem with the software is that it's incredibly basic. That could be seen as a good thing. And certainly to begin with, I was quite pleased there were no such thing as control points or anything like that to worry about. But it does start to become a hindrance. In fact, in the time that I owned this, which is about 3 weeks now, within the first week, the product had actually had an additional feature added, giving you the ability to stitch photos together. Now, that's actually fantastic that they're still developing, but it's kind of something that I would imagine they should have had from the start, particularly considering that the watch itself enables you to switch to photo mode and take a spherical photo, or two that you can put together. So it's good news that they're still developing, but at the same time, it kind of gives you an idea of how rough and ready this is. I think for me, one of the biggest problems was the actual ability to upload to social networks. YouTube was actually pretty easy. After the video was produced, it takes some time, but it uploads, no problems at all. The second I started trying to upload to Facebook, however, was when the problems began. Facebook, in my experience, doesn't like videos created by the PixPro SP360 4K software. Whether it's just the latest version that problem's cropped up, because I couldn't find anything about it online, I don't know. However, essentially after uploading the finished video product, which worked fine in YouTube, Facebook would take it to processing stage, it would get to 98%, and then it would just disappear. And that was the end of that. So here's what I had to do. And I basically worked this out myself with trial and error. Firstly, create the video, upload to YouTube. Then download a third-party program which enables you to download from YouTube in full 4K. Download the file. Then download an app which enables you to inject metadata into the video file to tell Facebook that the video is spherical. After doing that, then finally you'll be able to upload to Facebook and it will recognize it as a video. Now, the fact is, when I called support and emailed support, all they were able to do was send me a simple, and this is Kodak support, I should stress, all they were able to do was send me a simple PDF file, which was basically the instructions. One piece of advice I got was that Facebook takes quite a while to process files. I told them that it had been 4 days, and they just told me loosely that they'd try and get someone from tech to get back to me. No one's got back to me. I managed to reach a couple of voicemails in the Kodak text center, which is interesting enough. And essentially the whole thing was a bit of a mess. So I'm hoping that the Stitch software improves and that problem is resolved. But look, if I'm trying to show off my fancy spherical video on Facebook and it's not letting me, despite the promise of being able to do so, I think I've got cause for grievance. So overall, if you were to ask me to sum up my thoughts on the Kodak SP360 4K Dual Pro Pack, aside from having that stupidly long name, I'd say it's whether you're willing to sacrifice the convenience of a single camera solution for a slightly higher resolution capable with two cameras working side by side. For me, I was. It doesn't have the app support that it should. It isn't as shiny or simple to use as a lot of the Ricoh or the Samsung products, but the end product is fantastic. 8 out of 10 of my videos turned out really well. 2 out of 10 possibly avoidable by learning from the tips and tricks that I've picked up over the last 2 weeks. The stupid, ugly 80s watch is actually a pretty decent way of working around the lack of app support. And the accessories you get are pretty generous, well made and plentiful. So overall, I'm very pleased with the product. I think the $899 price is a little high. I'm looking forward to whatever they come up with next, which I would assume would be a single camera product. And finally, I included links to all the videos that I recorded using the PixPro along the Pacific Coast Highway to the description below. So I hope you enjoy.